Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. Today's video is a Black History Month spotlight on filmmaker Oscar Micheaux. But before we get into his story, here's the intro and I'll be back with you right after that. Oscar Devereux Micheaux was born January 2nd, 1884, and died March the 25th, 1951. He was an American author, film director, and independent producer of more than 44 films. Although the short-lived Lincoln Motion Picture Company was the first movie company owned and controlled by Black filmmakers, Micheaux is regarded as the first major African-American feature filmmaker, a prominent producer of race films, and has been described as the most successful African-American filmmaker of the first half of the 20th century. He produced silent films and sound films. Micheaux was born on a farm in Metropolis, Illinois on January 2nd, 1884. He was the fifth child born to Calvin S. and Belle Micheaux, who had a total of 13 children. In his later years, Micheaux added an E to his last name. His father was born a slave in Kentucky. Because of his surname, his father's family appears to have been enslaved by French descendant settlers. In his later years, Micheaux wrote about the social oppression he experienced as a young boy. His parents moved to the city so that the children could receive a better education. Micheaux attended a well-established school for several years before the family eventually ran into money trouble and were forced to return to the farm. The discontented Micheaux became rebellious, and his struggles caused problems within his family. His father was not happy with him and sent him away to do marketing in the city. Micheaux found pleasure in this job because he was able to speak to many new people and learn social skills that he would later reflect on in his films. When Micheaux was 17, he moved to Chicago to live with his older brother, then working as a waiter. Micheaux became dissatisfied with what he viewed as his brother's way of living the good life. He rented his own place and found work in the stockyard, which he found difficult. He moved from the stockyard to the steel mill, holding down many different jobs. After being swindled out of $2 by an employment agency, Micheaux decided to become his own boss. His first business was a shoe shine stand, which he set up at a wealthy African-American barbershop away from Chicago's competition. He learned the basic strategies of business and started to save money. He became a Pullman porter on the major railroads, at that time considered prestigious employment for African Americans because it was relatively stable, well paid, secure, and it enabled travel and interaction with new people. This job was an informal education for Micheaux. He profited financially and also gained contacts and knowledge about the world through traveling, as well as a greater understanding for business. When he left the position, he had seen much of the United States and had a couple of $1,000s saved in his bank account and had a number of connections with wealthy white people who helped his future endeavors. Micheaux moved to Gregory County, South Dakota, where he bought land and worked as a homesteader. This experience inspired his first novels and films. His neighbors in the frontier were primarily blue-collar whites. Some recall that Micheaux rarely sat at a table with his blue-collar white neighbors. Micheaux's years as a homesteader allowed him to learn more about human relations and farming. While farming, Micheaux wrote articles and submitted them to the press. The Chicago Defender published one of his earliest articles. His homestead failed and he was forced to sell it in 1911. The next year, he began his publishing career when Woodruff Press of Lincoln, Nebraska published The Conquest. He began work on a second book, The Forged Note, and from 1914 to 1918 traveled among Lincoln, Gregory County, and Sioux City, Iowa, marketing his work. While in Sioux City, he lived in and was influenced by the West 7th Street neighborhood, where the town's African American community had a strong presence. Micheaux decided to concentrate on writing and eventually filmmaking, a new industry. He wrote 7 novels. In 1918, his novel, The Homesteader, dedicated to his mother, attracted the attention of George Johnson, the manager of the Lincoln Motion Picture Company in Los Angeles. After Johnson offered to make The Homesteader into a feature film, negotiations and paperwork became inharmonious. Micheaux wanted to be directly involved in the adaptation of his book as a movie, but Johnson resisted and never produced the film. Instead, Micheaux founded the Micheaux Film and Book Company of Sioux City. Its first project was the production of The Homesteader as a feature film. Micheaux had a major career as a film producer and director. He produced over 40 films, which drew audiences throughout the U.S. as well as internationally. Micheaux contacted wealthy academic connections from his earlier career as a porter and sold stock for his company at $75 to $100 a share. Micheaux hired actors and actresses and decided to have the premiere in Chicago. The film and Micheaux received high praise from film critics. One article credited Micheaux with an historic breakthrough, a credible, dignified achievement. Some members of the Chicago clergy criticized the film as libelous. The Homesteader became known as Micheaux's breakout film. It helped him become widely known as a writer and a filmmaker. In addition to writing and directing his own films, Micheaux also adapted the works of different writers for his silent pictures. Many of his films were open, blunt, and thought-provoking regarding certain racial issues of that time. He once commented, "It's only by presenting these portions of the race portrayed in my pictures in the light and background of their true states that we can raise our people to greater heights. Micheaux used his films, the first by a Black American to be shown in white movie theaters, to portray racial injustice suffered by Black Americans, delving into topics such as lynching, job discrimination, and mob violence. The acclaimed filmmaker died in 1951 at the age of 67 while on a business trip. I hope that this Black History Month spotlight on filmmaker Oscar Micheaux has been interesting. I will leave additional information in the description of this video. Please like and share this. Also, if you aren't already, please follow me on all my other social media, including my other YouTube channel, The Purple Diva Den, where I do spoken word. Until the next time, peace and blessings from the West Side, and happy Black History Month.